But sometimes amidst all that noise, some moments are so profound that, they just stick with you. For me, one of those moments was when I held my daughter for the first time. I am an immensely private person. Usually when I share something about my own life, I share it only because I think it might be of some help to someone else. I don't think it takes a genius at this point to realize that our culture is in serious danger. The world is headed, I think, towards a dark place. We've talked about this a lot in other videos. I think older Christian thinkers and even the atheist Friedrich Nietzsche were quite correct to realize that as we discarded the traditions, intellectual traditions, philosophical underpinnings, ways of life, and even accumulated hatred for our own culture and historical religion, these are not small changes, and we're going to have massive impacts in the world. We've seen iterations of this in World War I and World War II, I think in the sexual revolution, and I think we're seeing another iteration of this. And I'm not naive about this. I see it, I think, with clear eyes. I just want to tell you a little story that it's a little private. One of the most memorable moments of my life, I don't have the greatest memory. I think I've shoved my life so full of things, intellectual things and various jobs, and I'm a very busy person. But sometimes amidst all that noise, some moments are so profound that, they just stick with you. For me, one of those moments was when I held my daughter for the first time. I remember being at the hospital and my wife going through all that she went through. And I was in the private places of my heart and mind struggling with some things, even though outwardly I didn't show it. At the time I was preparing for church ministry and was involved in lots of different, Christian ministries. But at that point in my life, some part of me was sort of questioning, okay, well, how do I know this is true? What do I do with this? Even though I believed it was true and felt it was true, there were just some on and off struggles I had. And just to be quite honest with you, a lot of it was pain. And there are times in which you question whether anything is worth living. But I remember holding my daughter and looking into her eyes. And in that moment, I knew that this very popular atheist view that life doesn't matter, that humans don't matter, that nothing that we do here matters, that, love is a lie, it's just chemicals in the brain. Beauty is something arbitrary, that we're just evolved. I knew all that was a lie in that moment. In my arms, I held profound beauty and something that I was responsible for, though I didn't feel man enough at the time, the right kind of a man to be the father that this beautiful person needed. But like so many things in life, that confidence came not before you need it, but as you need it, and you grow into it. And years passed, and that feeling I have for my daughter and now my children is still there. But like so many of you, I've struggled with so many things. Millennials and Gen Zers and even Gen Xers get kind of a bad rap from older generations. I can put myself in their mind and really understand it. But the thing is, I am a millennial, so I understand so much of the struggle, the deconstruction, is this worth it? The financial, you're just grinding all the time. And I get it, The disappointment in religion. But I also know that the world is becoming more and more, we're losing hope. And for a lot of reasons, optimism is sort of on the decline. And like so many people, for a moment, I thought there might be some political solution to all this. if we can just get the right candidates in there and they can have policies that are more fair, that are more equal, or protect the things in our culture that need protecting, and if we just vote for this guy or that guy or this gal or that gal, we'll be good. And then I lived more life, I grew more, and I studied a lot of things. And sometimes the things that you study in theology or philosophy or politics or culture, they're no longer abstract. They hit life. They hit concrete. And now I'm at the place in my life where I realize political decisions and even all the philosophy I've studied, this has impact on real people. Well, maybe I can just, have enough material success and make enough money so that I can just give myself and my family enough comfort and pleasure, and that even if the world, I'm convinced, is going to, sort of go to a dark place, I can just give them, enough consumerist products that they'll be happy. So now I know that the problems are so deep, there is no political solution. And consumerism is not going to give people joy and meaning. Now, I think so many people who are millennials and older and younger have sort of replaced the purpose and meaning in life historically that religion has given to people in the West with ideological or political activism. Their beliefs become so ingrained in the way that they think, and they feel like they can save the world on their phone. If I can just post enough to own the libs or to own the cons or whatever, you bigots or you whatever over here on the left. No, I'm not a liberal person, even philosophically at this point, but my point is, so often we try to find meaning and purpose in things that won't actually save the world. So now I think my daughter she's not an infant anymore. She's approaching adulthood. And the world is still headed towards that dark place. If anything, we're several steps closer. Now, it's not inevitable, but it's not heading a good direction. There's hope, there's a lot of good signs too, but I'm not naive about this. Why do I say all this? Because here's what keeps me going. I don't think that even if we had the perfect president, perfect senators, congresspeople, judges, celebrities all thought the right way, all these things, that, everything would just be solved. I think I can't fix the world. When I held my daughter for that first time, I thought, I have to fix this place for her. But there are forces, I'm going to fight against them, but there are forces that are bigger than me and bigger than you, beyond our control, and you can feel helpless sometimes. I know that. You can rage and you can fight and you can do whatever you can to make the world the way you think it should be, for fairness or for whatever, justice, or to conserve what must be conserved. However you feel, there are forces that are not going to bend to your will. I don't care who you are. But here's what I know. I am a convert to the Catholic Church. And I have lived a varied life. I've been struggled with non-belief. I've been a Baptist minister. I've been a U.S. Marine. I've worked all kinds. I've worked construction. I've done all kinds of stuff, right? Here's what I can fix for my daughter. You can't save the world through politics. You can't save the world through money. You can't save the world through just consuming all the Netflix and movies and, Katy Perry or whatever the pop music is now. You can't save the world through that stuff. Just can't do it. We can save the world by doing what we were called to do, and that's by striving to become saints. The scripture says, this is something I believe in. I used to not be sure about this, but this is something I believe in fervently. I used to wonder if everything in the world is just material, just bare bones, atoms in motion, molecules in motion. Love is just a chemical process. Justice is just a social construct. And, there's just power structures in the world, and we can just level out these arbitrary power structures for egalitarianism or whatever. No, there's more to the world than that. Beauty matters, justice matters, virtue matters. There's a transcendent realm that we've talked about on this channel. But I'm going to go a step further than this transcendent realm. I think, and though I don't have, I can't see these things through a microscope, I think there's a spiritual realm attached to that transcendent one. I think, Plato and Kant were aware of this, but the spiritual realm, I think, is at war. This is something that our ancestors were aware of, that we've been numb to. And I think some of the evidence for this is just looking around culture. Human beings can be extremely destructive. But sometimes I wonder, what is happening here? Why does the moral landscape look such like a slide into hell? Why do I think sometimes both the right and the left get this wrong? Here's what I know. 2,000 years ago, we were given this. Put on the whole armor of God, that we may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against the principalities and powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against the spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to withstand the evil day, and having done all, to stand. The scripture says, quit ye like men. And then in Corinthians, Paul also talks about this spiritual warfare, how we don't battle with weapons of physical warfare, but we take down arguments against God. We take into captivity every imagination. So here is how, by the grace of God, I have, most of you, I'm going to wager most of you struggle with things from your childhood. It's most people nowadays. If you're one of those few blessed with just a wonderful family, God bless you. Most people, struggle, have nightmares about things from their childhood. And I'm sorry for that for you. But here's what you can do. You can do your best, by the grace of God, to stand with your feet on this ground and to save the world for your daughter by becoming a saint, by fighting spiritual warfare, by not being naive about the ideologies screaming for your attention, but by cutting through that and seeking truth. And then, as Paul says, strive to live peaceably with all men. And that ain't easy nowadays. You got hundreds of people coming at you to speak the truth in love, with gentleness, as the scriptures say, but not to be a coward. I spent time in the U.S. Marine Corps. I didn't go through what a lot of my brothers and sisters went through, but I saw enough to realize, some of this stuff's a little scary. I could be a coward here real quick, and you just decide, I'm not going to be a coward. I'm going to face this head on. I'm going to be a man. This isn't limited to men, but that's what it is for me. What about this spiritual warfare? Whatever is in this spiritual warfare is so much scarier than any man I could face. But in love and in gentleness and with peace in your heart, fight that fight. Don't be naive and don't be a coward. And in doing so, you take that pain for your children and you give them a peaceful life, a peaceful childhood, knowing that their father, their mother, loves them, does everything they can, not to do things for them, but to help them fight that fight on their own, to grow in strength, to be spiritual Spartans. Because the reality is, we can't hide our children from the craziness in this world when they're adults. So we prepare them for it. And what I can tell you this, by the grace of God, I'm a very flawed man. But there are things worth giving up for your daughter. There are things worth giving up for your son. It's worth it. There are practices worth incorporating into your life that will help you grow as a person spiritually, to be there better for your kids and give them the life that they need. Now, can I save all this? Can I save the world? No, and my kids are going to face it. But can I save the world for my daughter and my son, my children? Yeah. I can try to make my home a peaceful place. I can show them love. I can take time to be with them, to give them a compassionate father. And this isn't about me so much as I'm just saying, I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what you've been through. I just happen to know people go through a lot nowadays. And I'd be naive to think that you haven't. Submitting that will to Christ, and then fighting that spiritual fight, striving to become the saints that we were called to be. And by the grace of God, showing love and fighting the fight. I think that's how we save the world. Because if we transform our lives and the lives of our children, that does trickle out into society. You want to save the world? Become a saint. Whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're going through, I hope you know that someone somewhere loves you. Your life matters. And as always, I appreciate you taking the time to watch. Take care of yourself. God bless.